The first point I'll make is everyone's transition is different. My transition was defined by the fact that I was CIO at Deloitte. Deloitte is SEC regulated, and as such, I could not sit on any for-profit boards while I was a partner at Deloitte. The way it's said at Deloitte is the chair of the board has to give written permission to sit on a board, and the chair of the board hasn't given written permission in 175 years. So unlikely. So the reason I say that is if you are fortunate enough to be an executive in a company that allows that, I think the time for the transition is before you leave. If you can pick up one board before you actually retire, it makes a lot of sense. For me, that was not possible. So for transition, I sat on nonprofit boards for 20 years. And therefore I had a very good working relationship with board governance people. In addition to that, I have sat in leadership positions on nonprofit boards. So I chair the technology committee of United Way, for example. I've sat on boards in Nashville, New York, Miami, et cetera, so had a good feel for it. The second thing in preparing for transition is just thinking more strategically about the presentations I did for our own board at Deloitte, and really thinking about them not just as an assignment, but really thinking about it as preparation for the future. So actually talking to some board members about what made the most effective presentations for them, et cetera. And really, as I made each presentation, thinking about what would it be like being on the other side, and really thinking about that transition. So that's leading up to it. So once the agonizing decision to retire was made, and I thought about what I wanted to do, and I would also strongly urge thinking deeply about what that portfolio looks like, whether board work is the only kind of work you want to do, or do you also want to do strategic advisory work or rent a CIO work or any of that kind of stuff, because it affects how many boards you can sit on, what kinds of boards you can sit on, expands the potential for conflicts, etc. So thinking through all of that. And the last thing I would say is I ended up in all of that thinking with an approach that worked for me. And I said there were 4 big things that I wanted to do with my transition. The first was going after public boards. And the reason for that was there's a sophistication of governance, there's the committee structure, there's the cachet of sitting on public boards, as well as the caliber of people I get to associate with. Felt like there's so much I could learn. Second, though, were private boards. There's a huge amount of formality and bureaucracy with public boards, and with private boards, there's the speed, the intimacy with management, the ability to contribute perhaps even more. And I thought that made a lot of sense. The third was trying to stay relevant in technology. I think if you're CFO or CEO, the ability to stay relevant is possible much longer. In technology, it moves so fast, and I needed to ensure that I stayed relevant. So working with venture and private equity was the third thing that I decided to do, because I could see where the puck was going. I could see where the technology investments were being made, so I signed up there. And then the fourth is I'm really passionate about nonprofits, so continuing my work in nonprofit, particularly in South Florida, because I really wanted to penetrate that society since I live here now. And those were the 4 swim lanes, I call them, that I focused on as part of my transition.